to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kelly, if you can take attendance, please.
Larry Fidler.
Here.
Greg Jay. Brandon Tankak.
Here.
Bryce Howell.
Here.
Scott Stierwald.
Okay, as we are in a new calendar year, year 2025, as we try to do every January, or as close to as possible, we have election of officers. At this time, I will open up for nominations for president for 2025.
I'll nominate Brandon Tankak for president.
Anybody else?
Can I just make a motion that we keep the same officers as the previous year?
Of course.
Yeah, I will second that.
So I'm going to close nominations, and Larry has a motion to stay status quo as the previous year 2024 with Brandon Tankak as president, Bryce Howell as vice president, Bryce is second, Larry's motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Any deletions or additions to tonight's agenda?
I would like to add one thing, Humphrey's invoice for Link, so you can put under claims and transfers if you like.
I already wrote it down, but it's okay. So we'll make that 7E, right?
Jay.
I'm sorry, I saw the word January. We're gonna go 7J for Humphreys. Okay, anybody have anything else? Okay, motion to approve,
Motion.
second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of minutes from the December 10th, 2024 regular meeting.
Motion.
Thank you. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And this will bring us to claims and transfers.
These are done in two parts like we normally do. The first part will cover the rest of December from the December council meeting to December 31st, and the second batch will be January's. So starting for December, out of the general fund, $454,033.39.
Motion.
Okay.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
From water, $69,030.75.
Motion.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
From wastewater, $1,059,978.70.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Payroll, $57,756.23.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then January's, from general, $192,801.33.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Water, $26,344.13.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wastewater, $48,461.30.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Water Solutions Unlimited, invoice number 6942739, in the amount of $4,830.34.
This was just the chemicals we talked about, right?
Yes.
Yep. Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Wallace Construction, invoice number 32146, in the amount of $35,813.79.
So moved.
Second?
What was that for?
Street repairs, asphalt.
Okay. Motion. Or second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the addition of Humphreys Outdoor Power, and the amount of $5,899.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will say that we're getting our money's worth already from that thing.
And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Monthly packets are out, the end of the year packet is attached. Pretty successful year, we was 3 short most of the year. So numbers are down from the previous year, but for what staff we had, they're pretty good numbers. Had the big event at CBRC. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, went well.
First time that event's ever happened, not a huge fight broke out, so good job.
No fights. A lot of traffic, roads were taken care of for us, so we appreciate all that. The only thing I've got on my packet is the reserve vehicle lease. And I'm assuming you all have the MOU on that.
Yes.
And I've gone over that with Marshall, and I have no problem.
And I brought Brad in, he is our reserve sergeant, reserve patrol sergeant. If there's any questions, he's free to answer anything that you might have regarding the lease program.
My only thing, I just wanna, and this is you, the town, unless he's in town working on business, we have no liability.
When he clocks in, when he's in the town limits, we're on the hook. But, and so when he clocks out and goes home, and if he goes, works for another department, does something and uses that vehicle, or goes to get groceries, something happens, he has, whoever owns that vehicle, the lessor will have insurance on it. When the officer clocks in, and we're on the hook. If it's official duty.
It's kind of the same as if he's working, he slips and falls on the ice. I mean, obviously, we cover that. And if he's at home, after he gets off work, he goes home, and he slips and falls on the ice, his insurance would take care of that. So it's basically the same principle.
Or if he or she clocks in and they decide to climb up on the roof and jump off of it for no reason, then we're not covering that, because that's outside the scope. Now, if he or she's chasing somebody and he jumps off the roof to try to catch him and gets hurt, so the same as our policy was. They're on duty and it's within their scope of duty, it's covered.
And it's already covered in our SOPs,
Yeah.
if you guys haven't been made aware of that.
The only thing I was kind of curious about was the not tagging the vehicle. So they all were uniform.
We've always had an unmarked car,
Yeah. Okay.
and one of them was Kent Goldman's, the gray car, before we purchased it. He was the reserve sergeant at that time, and it was an unmarked car, so like I said, if that is the deal breaker, I mean, the decals on it are under $500, it's pretty minimal.
My opinion would be if we do it, and same with Kent, if and when his comes up, I'd rather, if we're doing something like this, it not have our name on it. That's my opinion, because we're gonna be driving, who knows
Well,
where it's
by our
going.
policy, there are rules and regulations to when you're in an unmarked and when you're in a marked
Yeah.
car. And all the officers are aware of what uniform you have to be in an unmarked versus a marked car.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, that's all covered in policy too.
Yeah. And it'll also save the council from the phone calls. Oh, I saw the Cloverdale car at a playing field today.
Correct.
And so that'll be one less thing you have to worry about. And there is a value to having the unmarked cars. So,
Larry, your opinion?
I'm fine with it.
As long as the council
yeah.
says we do it with Kent, so, I'll make a motion to go ahead with it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
For the record, I'm a no.
Then it doesn't pass.
It does.
You need 3 to pass everything tonight.
And we'll have to table it for,
I'm still a no. I thought even with 3, because that's quorum,
No matter how many are here, you have to have a majority.
That's majority.
No matter how many are here, it's still three. Whether there's 3 council members, 4 council members, or 5, you still have to have 3 to pass.
Indiana code specifies that a requirement that an ordinance, resolution, or other action of the legislative body be passed by a 2/3 vote means at least 2/3 vote of all the elected members. So it's not the quorum that's present, it's the elected members.
Then we'll push us to February.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Jason?
Eric Smith is here and he can speak to the first item, the Lever wastewater project. He's gonna have some good news for you, I think. And then he can also speak to the stormwater project, which is the second item, if you'd like for him to address it.
You want me to cover the water too, or are you gonna cover that one?
If you want me to, Mr. President, he can.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
On the stormwater project, we had construction progress meeting number 3 was held in early December. All base bid work has now been substantially complete. The good news is we have about $190,000 left based on some changes that were made during the project, and we have some plans to use that. Our grant administrator has put in a request to extend the grant closeout date so that we have some time to do that. Most of the work could occur between now and March, but there are some pavement things that need to be addressed when the asphalt plant's open again. So we're gonna go ahead and ask for an extension into May so that those items can be addressed. So at that point, we'll be able to close that project out. On the wastewater, all work for the town's project and Lever's contract has now been substantially complete, and all of the punch list items have been addressed by the contractor. We did, as I've mentioned before, there was contingency funds that were remaining in the town's contract. Essentially, the contractor took less cost to do all of the base bid work, and there were some changes made. So we have money left over, and the state is allowing us to use that to do more work on both the collection and treatment systems. The town's portion has about $750,000 left, and we, working with Jason and his staff and the contractor, we developed a list of items that money could be used for, and that's on the report I gave you. Just generally what is on that is some additional smoke testing in the town to try to identify where some other areas are where we're getting some inflow and infiltration. Some additional sewer lining. The base bid targeted all of the primary areas that were known to have sources of inflow and infiltration. Since we knew we were going to have some money left over, and knowing that is the biggest need the system has, working with Brad, we identified where the next set of problem areas are so that they don't become a bigger problem 5 to 10 years from now. So those are on the list, along with replacement of lift station number 3, adding an air release valve on lift station 7, and then doing some work at the treatment plant in one of the buildings. We're removing a belt press that is no longer used, but it has some value, and I think we have a bid tonight from a company that's going to buy that. We're also going to have the contractor put an overhead door in that building and then do some other building improvements so that building can be better utilized by the staff. So we've come up with a list of projects or items that are right around $1 million, and we have submitted that list to the state to gain their approval to use funding for those. They have given us a verbal approval on all of those items.
They told us we could proceed on work at the wastewater plant because it has already been cleared environmentally. Some of the other work areas that are out in the system, they've still got to go through some hoops on those, but they anticipate giving us approval on those. The other thing they offered was that there was also contingency funding available from the Lever contract. If you recall, there were two separate contracts. There was the town's contract and then the one for Lever, which was essentially doing work at the park and also building the pipeline that would convey their waste to the town. The state has one item left for Lever that they're allowing them to do. It's some emergency power for one of the buildings there at the park, but the remaining contingency funds they're going to allow the town to use to improve their system. And that is about another $1 million. So that's a good thing. That's basically grant money that you're going to be able to use to help the system. So some of this investigative work that we're proposing to do may yield some additional improvements, so that's kind of why we're holding some of that money back, see what those are. We basically have time to assess what those are, and we can determine how to spend the rest of the money as the year progresses. So there's no hard timeline on spending that SRF money. They'll allow you to evaluate your system and see how to best utilize it. So it's not something we have to spend out by June. Essentially, what we can use this year to evaluate how some of the improvements that we did last year and determine where we might want to target this money and best improve your system.
It's great news.
And some of that work at the plant will basically start next week, some of the extra work. Reynolds said they want to get moving on that, and since they're clear to do that, we've told them. One thing we talked about in our meeting, I will prepare, since this is contingency work, above and beyond what their contract was, we're going to do it as a change order. So if the board is okay with that, I could prepare that change order and we could approve to have it signed once it's approved for the items that we've allowed.
Does anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Do
second
the
it.
change order.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll get that prepared and we'll get that to Jason probably later this week. Okay. Last item is on the water. The water supply improvements on North US 231. And we've kind of been waiting on easements on this one to get this one moving again. We have all those easements now. We have all our permits. At the December meeting, it was approved to utilize the BOT process to advertise for contractors for that. We did get, based on that advertisement, we did get one proposal. It was from B&T Drainage and Excavating. So if the board chooses to accept that, they could award that to them. That would take another advertisement. That's how the BOT process works. If you choose to accept their proposal, we would advertise that you're going to make an award to them. It doesn't mean you're signing a contract. It means you're awarding this to them. Then they would enter a scoping period whereby they would prepare a price for the project. And then you could review that price versus what our estimates are and then choose to enter into a contract with them.
Council?
But if we negotiate, we can back out.
You have an off-ramp, absolutely.
This is just one of the steps.
Okay. Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jason, anything else you need me to stay for? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I love how all of us have our microphones toward us, other than our attorney.
That was off the record, though.
No, it wasn't.
What else you got, Jason?
The next item is annexation. We did receive the fiscal plan from Baker Tilly. I did email that to you just to review if you have some time and want to read through that. Mr. Shagley and I are meeting with virtually on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. We will have an ordinance for the next step to accept the fiscal plan and adopt an ordinance. So we're still moving forward with the annexation. It's taken a while. The next item was Monon Avenue. I also received just a preliminary survey work that United Consulting did on Monon Avenue. After doing survey work on that street, if that's what you want to call that, street, it's been determined that the path of the asphalt does not necessarily follow the path of property owned by the town of Cloverdale. So I've asked United to put together a proposal to proceed with possibly doing a two-part project. Because there's the eastern section of Monon actually sits on the old CSX right-of-way.
The railroad.
And I know we're probably a ways away, although Brandon and I have had conversations with CSX, which was kind of exciting in this November, December, early December. So that was exciting, that they did finally communicate with us. That existing pavement, I don't like to call it a road because it's really not on our right-of-way, so it's really not a road, but I think that's gonna take a while before we can ever get that figured out. But I think we could get the western half of Monon figured out. It's all private property, although the asphalt does not necessarily follow private or public right-of-way. I think we might be able to look at doing an acquisition of that right-of-way project. There would be at least 3 properties we would need to acquire the property for right-of-way. So this is gonna be a lengthy process. I know we had originally talked about possibly doing this as a CCMG project. I feel pretty confident by the way this is turning out after the survey, finding out exactly what we need to do. This isn't gonna be a 2025 project for CCMG, and honestly, it would surprise me if it goes by even 2026. So, what I've asked United to do was just put a proposal together for us. I've not received that yet, but a proposal to at least start the acquisition process and start working towards an end goal. But I would not count on this to be in the next year and a half, 2 years, before we really get serious about doing a street project. So I don't have that proposal yet. When I get that, hopefully we'll have that for the next agenda, the next meeting on that agenda, and maybe discuss if that's the direction we want to go. But I wanted to update you that we do have some roadblocks there, and we kind of suspected this might be the case with that street, so. If I could say one thing, and this isn't on the agenda, and I'm sorry, Brandon. One thing I did want to mention, though, I did want to give a public thank you to Putnam County, Clint Maddox at the Putnam County Highway Department. They have assisted us over the last week with some salt and sand spreading, specifically on Stardust Road, because we had the big truck pull last Friday and Saturday, so they did a pretty good job there. So we do, and they did some other streets as well, but we do appreciate their assistance. And
Greatly appreciate it.
And they, because Carl and Steve both called me and asked if I could make any phone calls, and I just, obviously just in your talks, but when I went up there Monday to help start on the track, it was terrible. And by Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, they had it. And I mean, that's one thing, I no longer work there, but every hotel in town was sold out. My brother had to get a hotel in Plainfield, so it was a pretty big event for the community, so.
Anything else?
just a thank you to the commissioners and Clint at the highway department. That's all I have.
Okay, Kelly?
You've got your monthly reports in your packets. Most of that was a wrap up from December, and things look pretty good. Haven't done a complete deep dive into things, but we brought in more revenue than I estimated, which was good. And we spent within our budget and even had a little extra, which we'll sweep to rainy day, and I'll bring that to you next month to do that. So things are looking very good. We're setting some aside and hopefully be able to do some projects here soon. The other thing that you have in your packets is the bonds. This is my bond as clerk treasurer, the deputies, and a blanket bond for redevelopment. Those have been recorded at the courthouse, and they're there. And I'm not sure, are they supposed to accept, do they need a motion to accept those bonds, or is that just, am I just present them?
What are they for?
It's like my clerk treasurer bond.
Oh, no, yeah, they should just approve it, because they're paying for it, so they need to approve the payment,
Motion.
even though it's a standard.
There's 3 separate bonds. Can they be?
One's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
All right, this brings us to ordinance 2025-1, the naming of Gateway Boulevard. This is the first reading on this ordinance.
Can we wait a second?
Yes.
Yeah, you can wait.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve and waive the second reading. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And this will bring us to the bid opening of the filter press.
Do you want to open it?
Please.
We received one bid. Well, I'm assuming that's what this is. Wow. This is for the surplus Ashbrook Simon Hartley belt press, wastewater belt press. And they submitted a bid of $10,000.
It's from Merrill's.
It is from Merrill Brothers.
That's 10 even.
10,000. That is, I will say, that is the nicest
They,
bid
That's pretty
proposal I've ever seen, so. This work would be done in the next 60 days, removed within 60 days, so that's what Reynolds will be doing.
motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then as a reminder, we still have an opening on the BZA board. If anybody is interested, please reach out to Kelly, myself, if you're interested in joining that committee. This brings us to readdressing.
There's nothing really to address. I want to leave this on the agenda and because it's going to be coming up here in the next few weeks. But this is the potential readdressing of the numerics here in the town, as well as potentially looking at street name changes.
So you want this on February's agenda?
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be having this on the agenda every month for quite some time. This is going to be a pretty big project.
Okay. So you have no update, we're gonna push it to February?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. This is gonna bring us to new business. The I-70 water main extension bot, or BOT,
That is what Eric talked about earlier.
then the UMAC contract.
This is a new contract. UMAC runs the sewer plant, and they've submitted a new contract with a price increase. And that's, the new contract's in your packet.
How much is the price increase? Or
I think it's $500 a month extra. I don't, yeah.
And I know we talked about this, it had been 4 years with no increase, is that correct?
It's been at least, probably, because I don't think it increases since it's been here.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, this brings us to the Main Street financial request. Council, you should have in your packets a letter from Cloverdale Main Street. They are obviously a non-for-profit group. They put a lot of events on throughout the year within town. Is that not in there?
Here's a copy of the email.
council, I'll give you time to read that. Yeah, so everyone's familiar with Cloverdale Main Street. They're just asking for some financial assistance to continue these events. Cloverween, the Ice House, and everything related to Christmas. If you recall, we just had the Christmas parade at nighttime, which was a phenomenal success. I have not seen the streets lined in town for a parade like that, and I can't tell you how long. It was awesome to see the community come out for that event.
Motion from me.
So if you decide that, the town can't just donate to a flag, we just
So
donate
it's-
to a,
There is a contract, did I not send that to you?
no.
Then I would ask council, give me a second.
What's the agreement?
I don't have the agreement.
They're looking for a monetary
Right.
donation.
K or 500? Oh, we've done this in the past.
I will say though, within the last 2 years, I mean, I've been in town for 5 now, but within the last 2 years, the town outreach and this kind of stuff, even your, cop benefit, at least what I see is the community participation has been very, very good in the last couple of years.
And they don't have nothing to do with Main Street though.
No, but the events that this is gonna benefit.
Can't find it.
Can we table it for February then?
That's what I was just going to say. God, I sent that to you. For the sake of time, we will, council, you know what what Main Street's asking for. I apologize, we'll provide the actual contract in February's meeting, so we'll table this until February. And that is my fault.
That's why we can't mess things.
Settlement agreement is on here?
That's the, yeah.
Yep. Okay, at this time, council, does anybody want to add anything? No? Take questions from the public? No? Okay, at this time, I'm gonna put, this meeting in recess, as we are going to, have an executive session, immediately following, starting